All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the kickoff call for our Spring 2026 Tufts Capstone project at GitLab. Um, I've got a couple things in the agenda, but if there's anything else that you students have that you want to bring up, we can definitely make sure we get that in there as well. I just kind of put in some basic stuff I wanted to make sure we cover. If you don't mind, can we start with some introductions? The students, could you each tell us kind of your preferred name, preferred pronouns, a little bit about yourself, maybe why you chose this project?
I can start. My name is Ivy, and I use she, they pronouns. I'm currently a senior studying engineering psychology and studio art, focusing on graphic arts at Tufts University. And I guess I mainly picked this project because I was really excited to learn about design systems within an established, within a company that has like an established design team going on and just learning about like professionally how that works and how UX designers and researchers and usability testing work together as a team in that setting. Yeah.
Hi
Cool.
everyone. I'm Rihanna. I'm currently a junior, taking sorry, did I break up? But taking the class early because I'm trying to start my master's this semester early. I'm majoring in engineering psychology, a minor in computer science, and I go by she, her. The honest truth of why I chose this project, I wanted to get experience in something that I like wasn't familiar with. I've never used GitLab, and I think from this project, I can build a whole new skill with this platform.
Hi everyone, my name's Chelsea. I'm a senior at Tufts. I'm studying engineering psychology and minoring in engineering management. I use she series pronouns, and the main reason why I chose this project is because I'm interested in like design and project management, product, and I feel like GitLab is just a tool that if you ever want to work with developers, you kind of need to be familiar with. And so I was really excited for the opportunity to be able to learn more about it.
Hi everyone, I'm Jack. I use he, him pronouns. I'm a senior majoring in engineering psychology, but I'm on the pre-law track. Honestly, I thought this project was really interesting. In the possible projects it listed, all of them seem to interact with like people or how they kind of viewed the platform or how they interacted with it. And that was mainly what drew me in, is I love working with people or learning how they think. So that was the main reason why I joined this project.
Cool. That little bit of delay there is because I was taking notes. Something you should be aware of that you'll maybe get used to during this project is that we do have a very active collaborative note-taking culture in meetings at GitLab. Um, so also as we're having our check-in meetings, feel free to like add things in to the notes yourself as we go as well, whether it's adding in like a question about whatever the person is currently talking about or adding in like a point to talk about in the like later on in the agenda that you just thought of. That's like a super common thing that we do in meetings at GitLab. Well, thank you for those introductions. I'm glad that you are all here, and I'm hoping that we're going to be able to give you some good advice and help you to have a great project this spring. We can do a little bit of intro on our side. I put myself first because I made the agenda. I'm Chad. I think you probably all saw me already the other week when I joined your class. I'm on the design systems team here at GitLab. I do design work, but I also do a lot of work directly in code to make usability improvements across the platform, whether that's in our design system components code base or in the monolith of our app itself. And this is my third year participating in this. I organized it last year. I organized it this year. We'll see if I can get one of these other GitLab team members to organize it next year.
Hey everyone, I'm Bindu. I'm GitLab's first service designer. I'm here for 6 months. In the meeting notes, I've linked to the handbook page if you want to know more about service design. And the topic that you all will be working on is very close to me because that's also something I'm working on. new user experiences, onboarding. So I'm quite excited. Typically, I have been involved in trying to clarify problem spaces, helping UX research insights, convert them into actions, and having a lot of coffee chats across the company outside of product. Because it's important to understand what happens when it comes to a user or a customer's experience from a more holistic lens. So, trying to connect the dots there.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Lorena, and I'm a tech writer here at GitLab. I've been here for 3.5 years now. So as a tech writer, I work on documentation mainly, but also UI tech, so anything that has to do with text that user sees on the platform, so error messages, yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, I'm also excited about this project, the onboarding experience, because we also have some tech writing related questions or things we want to standardize in the onboarding experience, like how users create an account, sign in, register for things. So yeah, excited about working with you.
Well, hi, I'm Katie, she, her pronouns. I'm a product designer on the growth team. The growth team is also very invested in new user onboarding, so I'm excited to work with you all on this project. I work on understanding the user problems to be solved, designing solutions, validating the solutions, for example, through usability testing. And what's special about the growth team is we also run experiments like A/B tests. So I'm also responsible for helping shape and design those experiments.
Hey, folks, I'm Erhan. I work on the. Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, I work on the fulfillment team. Similar to Katie, I'm a product designer over here. Um, I've been at GitLab for about 6 months, similar to Bindu. And 6 months might seem like a long time, but in the GitLab world of things, it's fairly new, and I'm still learning from the fire hose. GitLab as a product and the platform is incredibly deep and technical, and so I'd highly recommend to ask questions. There's no such thing as a weird or crazy questions. Be free to like ask all the questions. Um, Try and grasp sort of the technical depth of things. It's a very interconnected platform. Yeah, and I'm excited to work with you guys, especially on this side. Previously, although fulfillment is sort of the tail end of growth, it's like sort of the other side of the coin. Previously, at previous companies, I was in growth and onboarding, so I have some experience in the space. So yeah, just happy to work with you guys and just encourage you guys to grab the bull by the horns and learn as much as you can.
Uh, I also realize I didn't say this and I didn't ask my teammates to say this, but you students are all broadly in the same place. For kind of like chronological empathy, we should probably let you know where we are in the world. I'm in the States. I'm in Brooklyn, New York.
I'm in the Netherlands, Rotterdam.
I'm in Vienna, in Austria.
I'm currently in Berlin, but next month I'll be in Asia.
I'm freezing my butt off in Ottawa, Canada. So
Cool. And also I want to say that Katie was the one who proposed the project idea that you all picked. So you've also got kind of the person who saw the need for this as, you know, one of the primary people who you can access. So let's talk a little bit about communication channels. You should have all already been invited to the Slack channel. If you haven't had a chance to join that yet, please do. We generally use Slack as the primary async communication method at GitLab. We don't really email that much. I would rather start slacking you all than sending emails back and forth. Um, so we're also going to have a weekly check-in call. We still need to find a time that will work. I don't think that this will be a great time for everybody all the time. It is a little bit late in the day in Central Europe, and there are some occasional meetings that are at this time on our end. So I'm going to have to find a better time. It also, I think, is like a real rush for Rihanna to get here because she has class that ends right before this. So that's a takeaway for me is that I still need to find a good time for us to check in. And then a question for you all. how are you planning on organizing your work? I don't know if this is something you've decided yet, but in the past we've had students set up a Notion site or just use Google Drive or set up a GitLab project and put all their stuff there. Do you have any thoughts on where you're going to go with that?
We made a Notion page for the team, and we can share with everyone here also.
Great.
Would that just be inviting everyone's email or
I
pasting the?
think so. I think that you will need to give us access
Oh,
to it by email, yeah.
all right,
And
sounds
then
good.
great. If you share that, I'll also put that in the pinned links section up at the top of this doc so we have it in an easy place. I'll probably also bookmark it in the Slack channel.
Sounds good.
Cool. Thanks. And let's talk a little bit about project timeline. Do you all know when your spring break is gonna be?
Yes, let me double check on that really fast. We made a slide deck. We don't have to go through it, but
Oh, cool. Yeah, I
um,
mean, if you'd like to, feel free. This could be the time where we hand it over to you and you start bopping through some stuff. You should be able to. Let me know if you need permission to share, but I think you should be able to.
Yeah, I can share the slide and then we can go through our timeline too. Okay. Can everyone see the slideshow? Sorry, it's not I'm presenting it.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right. We did introductions. The communication, we added some times so that available times that our team can do is Wednesday 3 to 4 p.m. and then Thursday 10:30. And then I do have like mandatory practices in the morning, but if we can cancel that, I can also do the mornings on Thursdays. I know you mentioned that you guys are able to do that 7:30 to 8:30 a.m.
Yeah, I think 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern time would be too late for our folks in
Okay.
Europe. That's like 8 p.m. or 9 p.m. or something for them.
Yeah. Okay. Sounds good. And then Ivy.
Do we
Morning.
want to like finalize on the meeting time first? Like, does early in the morning work for everyone then on Thursdays?
I think it would be fine for me. I'm not sure. So, um, Iran and I are the only ones who are on same time as you. Everybody else is in Europe. So for them, it's probably not a big deal unless they've got specific overlap. I think the question is just like basically I feel bad like making you get up early and start your day earlier on. But like is that okay?
No, that works for me. Yeah, it might be like the odd Thursday that something comes up early as a because my team's based out of Germany as
Mhm.
well, so I might have an odd meeting here and there that shows up on a, Thursday at 9 or 10. And so I won't be able to drop in for those check-ins, but for sure right now, doesn't seem too crazy to set it up on a Thursday.
Okay. Do we think that so 8 a.m. Eastern would be 1 p.m. I think Central European time?
Mhm.
Two?
Yeah, it's like
It's
2
2.
p.m.
Oh, sorry,
Yeah,
right. It's 1 p.m. GMT.
yeah.
That for me, even the 10:15 a.m. till 11 works.
Okay.
Or earlier. I'm open.
Yeah, for me the morning time like 7:39 would work.
Okay.
Katie?
I think, yeah, I'm having trouble doing the math. But
maybe
yeah, for
we can
sure
just
the
You'll be
send
in
a
seven.
note.
I
We
think
can
if we
send a note
did,
after the meeting to
yeah.
Slack and just everyone can do their calculations and we can finalize it. But in
Yeah.
general, like that Thursday morning slot, we'll check
Okay.
back in on that.
Cool. So it sounds like maybe 8 to 9 Eastern time on Thursdays could work. I believe that's 2 to 3 p.m. Central European time.
I do have class right at 9 a.m., so I don't know if it'd be fine, but I'd probably have to leave like 10 minutes early.
Okay. Yeah, I think every year we've had a situation where something's like right up against it for one of the students and either like
Okay.
show up a little late or show up a little early. But that's part of why we record these is that if there is anything you missed, then you can get the full context without having to rely on notes or word of mouth about it.
Perfect.
Cool. Okay, so let's finalize that async, but it sounds like maybe that will work for everybody.
Okay, and then did you want to go through the spring break times or should we just do our whole presentation?
Please just do the whole presentation. I'm
Okay.
I'm I'm absolutely pleased to let you go with this. I'm sorry I didn't ask you up front if you had one. We could have just
Oh,
done
no
your thing.
worries. All right. Ivy.
Yeah, I guess we kind of wrote up a little project overview of our understanding of this project. So no, none of us has ever used GitLab before, so we kind of spent some time trying to understand what the product is and how it works. And I guess we can't confidently say that we understand it as a full, but so our understanding of the problem is when users are invited into an existing GitLab instance, which I guess we want more clarification on what an instance refers to, but they face high cognitive load and there's no guidance and no onboarding, so they don't know what matters or what they should do first is kind of the problem here. And we identified some users that might face this problem. So first-time GitLab users, but also GitLab experienced users and also non-engineers like designers, PMs, or researchers who are also using GitLab. So our understanding of GitLab as a whole is that it's a team-specific collaboration platform where organizations coordinate software development and DevOps work, and it combines project management, code collaboration, and also workflow in one place.
Do you want us to already jump in and clarify what an instance means, or do you want to run through the whole presentation?
Yeah, you guys can jump in and clarify right now. Yeah.
Okay, I'll do my best because I wrote the original project proposal. So let's say that I'm not a GitLab user and I sign up for GitLab. That means I'm the owner of GitLab. That's my role in GitLab. And I might do some setup. I might add some code to GitLab. I might add some projects, things like this. At a certain point, I might invite Ivy into my GitLab instance that I created. And what that looks like is Ivy's going to get an email that says Katie's invited you to GitLab. And Ivy goes through a sign up process and then lands in GitLab. So a GitLab instance is just meaning like a specific account. So it's similar how you all are going to invite us into your Notion.
Yeah, sounds good. That clarifies it a lot.
Okay, so from what we knew of the project and what was written in the little blurb about the project, we decided to do a little initial user research from just the knowledge that we know about user research. And to solve this problem, we wanted to start with interviews with users, just do cognitive walkthrough tasks when they first onboard the GitLab, for instance, and then kind of form a list of more tasks that these users that are not familiar with GitLab can go through. And then shadowing how they use the platform, just any confusions or pain points. And then also build user personas of beginner and advanced GitLab users. And then the third thing we came up with was just market research on other onboarding flows.
And then here's that timeline that we had. This is for our like class structure. So there's a
Hmm.
lot of like smaller due dates in here, but the main dates to keep track of are we have a spring break from March 16th to 24th, so we won't be available that week. And then our final presentations are going to be May 7th. But I think, yeah, like that goes after usability testing and all of that. One of the questions that we had was how much information do you want to receive from us? Because obviously there's quite a lot of deliverables that we have for the class. And just because we're completing these items doesn't mean you have to be notified every single time. So we were
Yeah.
curious like what your ideal amount of communication about those things would be.
I think that our goal is to support you in this. So I think it's helpful for us to know kind of what the next milestone you need to make sure you deliver on is, you know. But I think we also have, sort of a higher level view of the whole thing where we want to help you make sure that you're kind of seeing all the angles kind of thing. So, um, I think it's good for us to have awareness of kind of like what your next thing that is due is to make sure that we can kind of help you do the thing that you need to focus on next. Um,
Okay, great,
but
great.
like I'm looking at kind of your first section here, and I guess I'm not really sure how much detail we need on that. You know what I mean? Like, I guess I'm not really sure what digital project notebook means per se, because it sounds like you already set that up. So maybe these are also like very generous timelines for some of these initial things that Professor Borgasani is giving you.
Yeah, we'll just keep you guys informed, and obviously we're still learning about like what each of these things mean as well. So we'll just keep it open.
Hmm.
Rihanna, maybe we can move on to questions. Okay, we already covered that first one. Um, the second question that we had, although I think we might know the answer, is whether the onboarding process is meant to live entirely in GitLab or whether you were intending to have like an onboarding flow via like email, because I know a lot of products will have like informational blurbs that new users get in email as well.
Hmm.
I feel like that's up to you all. Like we currently send an email when someone's been invited, but I don't know, Chad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if, the best design solution is that onboarding also happens in more emails, I think it's fair for you all to propose that.
Yeah, I think there's kind of two, I don't know, two main points to bear in mind here. One is, yeah, absolutely well, maybe 3 points. The first is that like currently, users do also get emails as part of onboarding flows. The second point is that like, yeah, whatever you think is the right design solution based on what you learn is what you should propose. The third is like, I guess bear scope in mind. Like, don't feel like you also have to like design emails and design an email campaign like that. That may, you know, you only have a certain amount of time. Oh, Bindu, sorry, do you have a hand raised?
Yeah, I just wanted to give a tip that if you would like to experience the first time, like the new user experience, of course, like use your email ID, but also maybe record that process because it might be hard to experience it again, especially like what kind of emails you get, because I did this recently and I'm still sometimes getting some of those emails. Another handy tip just for the real first time experience, you can use like 10minutemail.com to yeah see how this looks like. It can be complex. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to add about emails that maybe we need to identify the main, I guess, points of the onboarding experience because we do send emails also about like notification emails about some important things or alerts or stuff like that. So yeah, we don't want to also overwhelm the user with emails for every step. But I guess that's part of designing the onboarding experience. But yeah, it's mainly in GitLab.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Another question that we had was that last year there was another group that worked on this like onboarding flow process for GitLab. And we were curious if you had any advice just generally on like how that process worked or any like roadblocks, something that you feel like they could have improved on so that we can learn from that.
Hmm. Yeah, last year's students were working on, I guess, related but different project, and it was more about getting up to speed on specific issues that are in flight. So it's like there's this issue that's been around for like 6 months, and there are like 50 comments in several different discussion threads, and their project was about how do you learn what's going on with this and learn what you need to do next fast. So it's slightly different take. It's still onboarding in a way, but it's not onboarding to the platform. It's onboarding to like It's like, hey, you got moved to this project, you got to figure out what you need to work on, kind of thing. I think that in terms of roadblocks that they faced, a very common thing with this project is that we have a little bit of delay in the beginning in getting initial user research recruiting set up. And that's for various reasons. It might be because there's like, some sort of like legal paperwork that's going on between GitLab and the university. I've already got the two lawyers who are relevant to that working on it, and they may have actually finished it today, so that probably is out of our way. I also have been having conversations with our user research coordinator before this to make sure that she's aware of kind of what we're doing, and she already had a sense for kind of what each of the different projects that you might select might need in terms of recruiting. I think that the one that you picked is probably the easiest one to recruit for because we're just looking for people who either have never used GitLab before or are new to it. So I think that, research recruiting is usually the bump in the road that we run up against with this. But in your particular project, I think that shouldn't be too much of an issue. Trying to think of other things they ran into. Yeah, I mean, they had a pretty smooth go of it, I think. So there's nothing else that really comes to mind for that.
Oh, good. That's good to keep in mind for sure.
Sorry, I have a follow-up question. So you mentioned last year's team they focused on onboarding on a more specific issue. In terms of like the scope of our project, do you think it would be better if we kind of had a more focused scope? Because onboarding sounds very general right now, I guess.
Onboarding is very general. I think that if I were in your shoes, I would look in the initial round of user research because that initial round is kind of like problem validation, you know? I would look in your initial round of user research to find kind of common themes and specific problems that those users who are onboarding are running into that you can think you can make a measurable difference about, you know? So there probably is a project in here that you'll find that's part of kind of onboarding to the platform in general that is like a, hey, if we fix this thing, people keep tripping on this. I think that's fair game, right? Generally, the scope is going to like, you start wide with like, I don't know, there's a big problem, and then you find a specific problem, and then you go wide with like, what are the ways we could solve this, and then you find a specific solution, the kind of like double diamond diagram kind of thing. So that's pretty typical, I think, for this. Yeah, don't feel like you have to make like, the be all end all user onboarding is great for everybody, no matter what coverall use cases kind of thing. Like that's just never gonna, that would be a huge project if it were even achievable. It wouldn't be something you could get done by, to present a final solution on May 7th.
Yeah, that's really good advice. We'll definitely, I think, gain more insight from the first round of user research and then see how we take from there.
Yeah. Oh, also I mean,
Can I offer a suggestion,
go
Jack,
ahead. Yes,
on this
please.
topic? I know that you plan to do user research, but because the time with users is quite precious and you might not get this chance again, I would suggest that you could do a diagnosis yourself based on your experiences. And that's also what Chad was talking about. And then you can come back to us and say that our initial feeling or gut is that there are these four problems. Do you have any specific preference? And we can give you some input on, oh, wait, we don't know much about this problem. We want you to explore that or something like that. So feel free to consult with us on prioritizing or scoping those problem spaces. And that's also what I missed in your project plan is before jumping into user research, you have the whole month of Feb, for example, to work on your proposal. I would consider doing some early diagnosis yourself. Yeah.
Aaron, you've got a hand up.
Yeah, and I also want to add an additional tip of as you're going through that process of that that self exploration and then onboarding, like you'll run into sort of technical limitations or things that kind of come up where it's kind of easy to get boxed in by like the technical limitations of the product. And so kind of just don't let that stop you. Look for the ideal solution that would make the problem better for our users and going through that process. So, be mindful of those constraints you kind of put on yourself as you're going through that exploration phase.
I have a question for Chad as well. This project proposal came from a learning from my own user research within GitLab.
Mhm.
What's the, like, am I allowed to share that with?
Good question. So, not yet, but yes. So, once the lawyers are done doing their thing, then we can share any safe info with the students.
Okay.
If we discuss it on one of these recordings, then the recording we will make private when we put it on the YouTube channel so that it's only internal. But yes, that's I think the reason that they have that agreement is so that we can share stuff like um, research findings and internal issues and that sort of thing with the students as part of their information. But we can't
Okay.
yet.
Yeah, no, that's good to know because I kind of think Bindo's recommendation of basically do it yourself and do a heuristic evaluation. Once I'm able, I would share UX research with you, and that means when you're ready to conduct your own UX research, you probably have a lot more information, and you're like, I want to conduct UX research on this specific thing that we don't know yet, because you will be able to see things heuristically, and I can share some stuff with some learnings with you.
Mhm. Yeah, and to that point, right? The idea, I think part of the reason that they set these projects up with real companies is so that you can get kind of the closest to a real world experience that you can on this project. And in the real world, you're not just going to be like starting from zero, right? You are starting in a context where people have already been thinking about this problem, have already done some research, or there are like adjacent learnings that may inform it, sort of thing. So we do also want to make sure that you have access to like prior learnings on this.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel like that kind of knocks out the next question that we had about what success looks like for a newly invited user. We were just sort of trying to poke at and see what you guys were um, already finding. So yeah. We also were wondering what level of fidelity you were expecting from this project. So is it something like we're creating like a Figma for you guys, or do you want it to be, I mean, fully operational? Like what kind of level, or just a project proposal?
Well, so I'm glad you asked this because I should have had this somewhere in my like initial spiel in the meeting. So, I want to make sure that it's clear to all of us like kind of what our dynamic should be in this interaction. We're not your boss. Linda is your boss. We're here to advise you. We're here to share our expertise with you. We're here to answer questions. We're here to share information with you. Um, but like you don't owe us anything in terms of like deliverables or whatever. It is my hope that at the end of this, you come out getting, I don't know how tough says grades. I don't know if it means getting a four or getting an A or whatever. But like, I want you to get a good grade. I want you to have something that you're proud of in your portfolio when you go out into the job market. And I want you to like learn from our experience and, have people who you could like, bounce like drafts of your own portfolio off of after the semester, that sort of thing. So, in terms of like, what we're expecting, it doesn't really matter, right? Like do what you need to do in order to do a good job on the project. So that probably means varying levels of fidelity, probably changing over the course of the project, but do try to do this project as though it really is actually going to get handed off to a team of engineers to be worked on in May. In fact, that is something that I want to try to schedule as well. Last year, we did kind of like a mock handoff to engineers with the students, and that was really successful. They got some great feedback from that, and it's something you don't usually get experience with until you're in the job market. So sometime in April, I guess, I will look to set something up like that, and what we'll probably do is get one or two engineers, hopefully one of them being like kind of like a staff level engineer, to basically kind of be for you to present to them kind of, a rough draft of your final presentation and for them to give technical feedback about feasibility. And, I think they'll probably bring up questions that you hadn't thought of before in that process. But that's kind of a long-winded way of saying like, I don't really think we have specific expectations about fidelity with this. You know, if this ends up being something that we actually can make code changes to in GitLab to implement, that's great, but that's not the goal. The goal is for you to learn by doing kind of like a closest to real world possible project.
Got it. That makes sense. And thank you. And the handoff to the engineers would be really a cool opportunity. Yeah.
Mhm.
I guess we have, oh, sorry, could you just go back? Yeah. We have one last question. So in terms of like in general, are there any like technical and design constraints that we should be aware of? I know we talked about being able to access the GitLab design system, so the UI, I guess that the company already uses. So should we be like following that or just like what are the guidelines to these constraints?
Yeah, so if you actually worked at GitLab and you were actually doing this design as part of like, kind of regular like, product team work, you would want to do it, using our design system, using the patterns that we already use, or at least you would want to be in conversation about whether or not there are patterns that cover the things you want to be doing. I would say for now, don't worry about that in these, initial parts. Like if you're curious, definitely feel free to, like check out our design system, both like the Figma components and like the documentation site, just for kind of your own edification about it. But like, don't worry about that until you're thinking about specific solutions, you know? Technical constraints. I'm not sure. I mean, I think that that's the kind of feedback maybe that you'll get when we bring in some engineers to give you some feedback on stuff. And we may be able to kind of spot things along the way to give you advice about that as well. But there's nothing glaringly obvious about this where I'm like, oh, this has to, I don't know, I can't really even think of anything. Is it anybody else on the GitLab team have a thought on this? Something I'm missing?
Yeah, I could. This kind of speaks to like a little bit what I said earlier, where like technical constraints are a part of the job. Like you will face that when you go into the marketplace. A big part of that is like how do you communicate that, right? So how do you communicate kind of things where you're blocked off and how are you like proposing a solution to overcome these things? So being able to document it, being able to say, hey, these are possible solutions. This is our preferred solution. Like there's ways to like communicate how you're going through that process, right? So I would say, if anything, any kind of technical constraints, like we are not going to put on a technical constraint for the project, but if you do run into it as part of your process, look for ways to document it, look for ways to communicate it, look for ways to overcome those constraints or propose solutions that make sense to overcome those constraints.
All right, sounds good. I think that clarifies it.
And then lastly, just any questions that you guys had for us, expectations.
I do have one. This is something that we did with last year's students, and I think it went pretty well. I'm wondering kind of what skills each of you are hoping to develop from this project. Ivy, it sounds like you're interested in design system stuff. I don't know if that is necessarily kind of the skill or area you're looking to develop, but um, you know, I don't want to like add an additional thing on top of the project because the project is going to take up all of your time. But like if each of you have kind of a thing you want to learn some more about or a specific skill as part of the set of skills that are required for this work that you want to develop more and specifically want to be able to show that you developed over the course of this project, um, that would be good for us to know because then we can help you find ways of making sure that you are doing that and kind of creating evidence that you have done it also. And this, feel free to not have an answer to this right away now, but give it a think if you're not sure right now.
For me, from this project, I wanted to work on my leadership and management skills, and then also improve my user research skills. And then lastly, just become a skilled GitLab user.
Yeah, I think I'm definitely interested in learning more about design systems, but I've never done an A/B testing before, and I feel like that specifically is something I wish to go through and learn about in this project.
I don't have anything super specific at the moment. I think I'm mostly just excited to be able to work with, like more of a real world example versus a lot of the projects that we do that are very like theoretical at school. So yeah, already just working with you guys and having the whole team here is like a really special opportunity. And I just hope to learn from like the experience itself.
Yeah, I think pretty similarly to Chelsea, just like that real world experience. I think something that you guys talked about, like being able to work with engineers, would be definitely unique to this project and like stuff I've done for other classes where it kind of gets to the point where like this is what I would hand off and then like that's what I submit and then I get a grade. Whereas we can get feedback on this project and like actually implement it, which would be really cool and like a really great way to like test all of our like learning.
Cool. Well, we don't need to consider any of these like a final answer on this today. You know what I mean? But if there's like something, if there's anything that comes up or anything that changes about how you feel about this over the course of the project, like we're here to advise you and help you do great on this. So, if there's anything where you're like, oh, I think it would be helpful for me if I don't know, like in terms of like leadership and management skills, if there's anything about that, Rihanna, where you're like, I want to make sure I have something kind of on paper that shows that like I did that over the course of this project. We can help you make sure that there's like a way to get that into your role in the way that you all are organizing this project. Although on that note, in the past, the students have kind of like had kind of like specific, roles that they're playing within the team. Do you all have that?
Oops. Yeah, I didn't mean to click the slide, but yeah, me and Ivy are kind of assuming the role of project managing, and then she also has that design background. I'm more on the research side. Um, and then Chelsea, I can't remember your role.
Yeah, I think some of the roles are a little bit like
Yeah,
fluid in my
overlap.
mind because I kind of
Mhm.
am interested in just like sort of touching all areas of the project.
Mhm.
But yeah, like UI, UX and research, really just talking to people, is something that I'm interested in.
Yeah, I was also similarly on like research. I think like the roles that we selected will like become more fleshed out definitely as like the project develops.
Mhm.
Because right now it's a kind of a catch-all for all of us. But yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that you will also probably learn a lot of things that you didn't know in the course of this project. So skills that you didn't know about or roles that you didn't know much more about. So yeah, that's also an opportunity to explore different paths, different tasks, yeah, different roles that you can play in the team or together with other team members. So yeah.
Yeah, I think technical writing as well as service design are two roles that I personally am not really familiar with at all. So, having you guys on the team will definitely help me learn more.
Yeah, that's great because I also didn't know much about the role before I got a job in this field. So, um, yeah, but yeah, tech writing, service design as well. There are two that are there are also very collaborative roles. So you collaborate a lot with designers, engineers, product, lots of touch points. So yeah, if you have any questions for Bindu or me, yeah, feel free to ask.
Any other questions that any of the GitLab team members have? Just want to make sure we have space for that.
All good for me.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's make sure that our conversation as a larger group isn't restricted to just these sync calls. We have the Slack channel. Please feel free to ask us questions there, share ideas with us there. We'll do the same with you all. Um, so I think we're kicked off. Thank you all for being flexible with this time today. Let's talk a little bit about next steps. I have a follow-up to finalize our weekly meeting time. Um, do we have any other specific next steps that are not just you continue your project?
I'll share the research when I am allowed by legal.
And a follow-up before that follow-up is I need to let you all know when they're done with that.
And for weekly times, we're set on Thursday, 8 a.m.
I think so. I mean, we could consider that finalized now if everybody's good on it. Great. Well, I'll check that one off. Okay. Were there any other things that we need to follow up on?
I'll be sharing the Notion page to all of you
Thank
guys.
you, yes. Great. All right. Well, thank you. See you on the internet and see you on video next week. I'm going to upload this recording to our YouTube page. I need to think about where we can keep a list of these. I think I might create a project in GitLab for this, just to have a place to kind of share all of these links and stuff. Um, but I'll share the link to this with you as well. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Yeah, thanks
you.
all.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Right?